It's a living, breathing, walking testimony.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom with Love Squared 20.
Yes, and on Wednesdays we come from the book of Proverbs because we're learning how to align our hearts and our will with God's heart, God's will, God's promises, and God's wisdom for our lives.
That's right. The book of Proverbs is full of God's wisdom. But guess what? We can't allow that wisdom again to continue to lie dormant on the pages of the book of Proverbs. We got to be willing to dig deep within those actual pages and learn each day of how to apply that godly wisdom to our daily lives.
Amen.
Amen. God's wisdom for us today comes from Proverbs chapter 8, verse 33, and we'll be reading the New Living Translation. It reads, "Listen to my instruction and be wise. Don't ignore it." And the question we have for you guys on this morning is, are you listening? Meaning, are you paying attention and obeying God's instructions?
Yes, because ignoring God's instruction for our life could cause dire consequences to each and every one of us. That's why God gives us his instruction, because he wants it to benefit our lives.
And like Steph said, God offers us his instruction, but then it's our move. Meaning we must again accept those particular instructions and be willing to apply those instructions to our daily lives.
Yes, and how does God give us his instruction? Through the Holy Bible. Yes, it's our instruction manual for life. God's basic instruction before leaving earth. And like Daphne said, it's going to be our choice whether we take heed to it or ignore it.
And like she said, God offers us a spiritual GPS, and we all have experienced a GPS before. It offers us directions on which way to go and which turn to take and what to do. But again, we got to be willing to obey those particular instructions and know that it's leading us the right way. And God is our spiritual GPS, and he's speaking all the time. But again, are we listening and following what he's again instructing us to do?
Yes, and there might be times when we feel like what we're doing and what we want to do is on our own is what's best. But no, they say our way might seem right, but it's going to end in destruction. So refusing, neglecting, ignoring, and disregarding God's instruction will always take us the wrong direction and in the wrong destination.
And like she said, when we choose not to obey God's instruction, guess what? We lose his presence, which means he remove himself from us. And that means we lose his covering as well as his security and his protection that he gives us. And then we are led by the flesh rather than the spirit. We're out there on our own, and we have to understand no one knows better than God. So we don't do ourselves a disservice when we ignore and despise God's instructions.
That's right, because the grace is in the instruction. That's what keeps us in, like Daphne said, in protection, in God's presence, and in God's power, and in God's peace, and in God's provision. When we're able to keep with God and do what God tells us to do. Just think about Noah when he gave Noah the direction of to build the ark. Noah didn't complain. He didn't ask a million questions. He just did what God told him to do. And by doing that, his whole family was saved. So just think about what are you ignoring on today that could be causing you to might lose your protection and your safety if you're not doing what God say do fully.
So again, following God's instructions means, again, we have to do it even when it's inconvenient, even when it's insignificant to what we think is important, and when we think it's outrageous and scary. We still have to be, again, willing to reject what we think and what we feel and be able to say, not my will, but your will be done, God, and be willing, again, to sacrifice self and our will, again, to uphold and follow God's instruction, because like we said, God's instructions are 100% right all the time.
Yeah, so today we're telling you not only hear the instruction, but do the instruction, because it's not knowing the instruction that produces the results. It's obedience to the instruction that produces the result, and that gives you God results.
So again, listening is synonymous to obedience, and that means we can't pick and choose what we want to follow. We got to be willing to listen completely to all that God instructs us to do.
And how we're going to do that? We're going to do it by faith, because we're going to walk by faith and not by sight. We're going to see God, seek God, and speak God in all occasions.
We'll see you next Wednesday for another Wednesday Wisdom Encounter with Love Squared 20.
Bye.